Hello everyone. How are you all? I'm sure you're doing great. So, guys, done with your December 2025 exam attempt preparation for your performance management paper? Yes, ma'am? Okay, let's see the checklist of what you have done so far. Are you done with your preparation? Yes, ma'am. Are you done with your question practice? Yes, ma'am. Are you done with your revision? No, ma'am. Still pending to do. And have you gone through your technical articles? Yes, ma'am. Have you gone through your examiner's report? No, ma'am. Then, boss, you are still remaining with your preparation. But don't have fear when Anshu ma'am is here. So, for your performance management paper, I'll take up examiner's report, detailed understanding, the latest one. Along with this, I will also take up a full revision of the syllabus. 100% guys, you do that revision and you're done with your PM preparation completely. So let's begin with your examiner's report analysis. Students ask me, ma'am, is it really important to go through this examiner report or just because ACCA says so you are saying that it is important? No, boss. You cannot see right now, you cannot know what examiner is thinking in his mind when he's examining your paper. I have been an examiner myself, so yes, I know what it really goes into the mind of examiner when he's evaluating your paper. So this examiner's report is therefore such an important analysis because here we will look into that what an examiner really wants to find in your answers, and are you studying in that line or not? Are you studying in that line where you can satisfy with the requirements which are raised by your examiner? If yes, bingo, you are on the right track. If no, still is the time to correct yourself. Okay, so I am taking up the examiner report that is based on your PM exam that was held in March June 2025, and this is something that I've taken from your ACCA Global website free study resources. Okay, so now here, like I was telling you, this is an utmost very crucial document to go through. One at least 3 to 4 examiner reports you should check before you go for the exam. That would tell you that okay, these were the ways that you were trying to solve the question or you were thinking to solve a question, but that was not the correct way. So which is the correct way which is suggested by your examiner? Now, here in this examiner report, I will take up 4 section A questions. I will take up 1 section B question and I will take up 1 section C question. So we will practice those questions as well. We will understand what should be the thought process when you're handling these questions. And you will be like, ma'am, why only these 4 questions and the 1 question section B and 1 question section C? I mean, why so only? Because the examiner have pinpointed across the different sets of papers which are received by the students, because you have a CBE exam, so no bajuwala of yours will have the same paper, right? So you really cannot ask that person as well. So now all of you will have different sets of random questions available to you. So out of those questions, examiners highlighted that these are the questions that were generally not well answered by the students, or where they felt that the students really suffered or they were not able to handle the thought process of these type of questions. So it's a mix of a practical questions and a theory questions. So I think it's good to take them now without wasting any more time, and let's take up section A, 4 questions. Okay, first question, and let's understand also how you should be solving this kind of question. First question. In this section, we will look at 4 section A questions which prove to be, look at this point, particularly difficult. which proved to be particularly difficult for the candidates. Boss, it is a red flag. So let's try to solve it. First one, which of the following controls would be most effective in ensuring that internal reports are properly generated as well as distributed? So, what is the question requiring us to analyze or requiring us to find out? It wants us to look into internal controls point of view, and we have to see which is the most effective control for distribution of report as well as generation. Okay, that means what are the controls that should be in place to ensure that probably the report reaches to those who should be receiving it, okay, and no problems with it. Let's see the four items and the four options, and then we will see which is the correct option. First one, recipients of reports agreed and updated on a regular basis. Recipients of reports agreed and updated on a regular basis. Second, generation of reports carried out by end users. Reports produced and distributed on a weekly basis. Regional directors produce the reports for strategic generation decision making. Let's look at these pointers one by one. Now, in these questions, in these pointers, I know when you look at these points, generally you feel that all of them are correct. Correct? I want you to pause your video for maybe 5-10 seconds. Go through this question again and in your mind create what answer do you think is the correct answer. But when we are answering the question, how should be your thought process? First step, try to eliminate those 2 points that you think are absolutely wrong. Absolutely. So that when you're left with the remaining two, you can read them again and then try to draw the conclusions. It becomes much easier for you to solve. Let's see. Generation of reports carried out by end users. According to me, it is completely wrong. Why? Why it is completely wrong? It is because, let's take an example to understand this. Let's say you go to a hospital and you get yourself tested because you have fever. The blood samples have been given, blood reports are due to come. Now just imagine if your doctor says that Mr. A, you take out the blood reports yourself, okay, and you read it and you analyze it and you tell me what illness you have. So you will say, ma'am, I am an accountant. I am an accounting professional. I am not a doctor, ma'am. So I really would not be able to comment on this. That boss, you are the doctor. You tell me. So what do? We give samples. Reports are printed, generated by the doctor, analyzed by the doctor, and then communicated to the end user. So then here it says generation of reports carried out by the end user. Then will it make any sense if the reports are generated by the end user? Because we can have their errors. It can be like a typical formatting errors. It can be an interpretation error. It can be some technical flaws over there. So it's always very risky if I say that customers, you download this report. No, the downloading of report or basically the generation of the reports, let aside downloading, generation of reports is always done by the one who is distributing this message, who is passing on this message, right? So therefore it is completely wrong. It shows a very low level of control because then these reports even can be easily manipulated by the end user. Next, reports produced and distributed on a weekly basis. Why weekly? I want monthly status report, then I can get monthly reports. I want a quarterly status report, I can get quarterly reports. So why to put a restriction on week? Therefore it is wrong. Let's go to the next one. Regional directors, they produce the reports for strategic decision making. Have you ever seen or do you think that let's say the director of the north zone will now produce the reports himself and then he will analyze it. No, right? But he would say why the subordinates are there. So he would call his manager and say that boss, I want these weekly sales report, I want the monthly production report. You generate them, you produce them, you bring them to me, and then I will do the analysis work, I will do the top work. So, therefore, production of reports for strategic decision making will not be done by the directors. They will do analysis. They will do more technical insights into it. So, this is also wrong. Now, recipient of reports agreed and updated on a regular basis. This is correct, because those who are receiving these reports, to whom these reports should be communicated, should be transferred, they have agreed and they are updated on a regular basis for any changes in the reports, or like for the datas like weekly data, monthly data, quarterly data, 6 monthly data, annual data. They are provided with the regular data that is needed for them to analyze and to make opinions. So therefore, this first point is the correct answer. Now, do you understand how we did the approach? First, elimination of two, big boss elimination, and then the remaining two, out of which you will select one. And your life becomes much, much easier with this. Let's take up the next one, which is a practical question. So now we have a practical question, guys. So to continue further now, the next question is on a practical calculation. Okay, now let's understand that how would you be doing this practical calculation in the exam, and what are the potential ways where you can do the error. Let's read the question. The following information has been provided for the division GDR for the last year. Sales revenue is 27,000. Pre-tax operating profit is 3420. Tax is 600. Average capital employed is 19,800. 11,700 of division's GDR average capital employed is relating to non-current assets. Plant and equipment. The company's overall cost of capital is 6%, but due to a higher level of risk in the business area, the division's GDR's cost of capital is 9%. What is the residual income earned by division GDR for the last year? Now, before I try to solve it, let's look into account that what is the formula for residual income. Residual income is equal to your pre-tax operating profit less the cost of capital of on capital employed. Now the question is that, ma'am, do we take post-tax profit? No, I already told you. Here we always take pre-tax profit. Number two, cost of capital will we take on the total capital employed or only on the non-current assets or without non-current assets? Remember, in the balance sheet, as we have already discussed in the class, and if you have queries, you can just visit of the PM playlist and you will find the relevant topics over there. And here we will take always the total capital employed for the entity as a whole, not just non-current, not just current, but we take total non-capital employed. So now, as per the question, then the residual income will be equal to what is pre-tax operating profit? It is 3420. So I will take here 3420 less cost of capital. Now what should I take? I should take 6% or 9%. 6% is the general or the company's overall cost of capital. 9% is only relating to that particular division. So therefore we should always take the cost of capital which is related to that division, because it takes care of the risk inflation affair, associated with that division. Hence I will take 9%. So I will reduce 9% of capital employed. Now the question is, should I take 19,800 or 11,700? So let me tell you, as per the examiner comments, generally most of the students got confused with this. Some took 11,700, some took the difference between the two. But don't be confused with every data which is provided to you, because most of the data provided is many times just to confuse you. So why to be confused, right? So then we will take 19,800. Now I can use my calculator and I will calculate 19,800 multiplied by 9%. I get 1782. So when I reduce it, I get 3420 less 1782. I get here $1638. Okay, which is the answer that I will choose, which is not given here. So I will take $1638. Clear? It's easy to solve. Just stick to your basics and things are much easy for you to solve. Let's look at the next one. So now, very interesting question. Okay, the new management accountant of Hervey company wants to introduce CVP. Focus on CVP, a break-even point, margin of safety, CS ratio, all those pointers we will focus here. Then indicate by clicking on the relevant boxes in the table below whether the following statements about the CVP analysis are true or false. Increasing the cost by 12%. Now, what is the relationship between fixed cost and break-even point? We should write somewhere in the rough paper. When you're doing questions, use it on the hard paper so that your mind has to do less work and you'll have things in front of you. Things become much clearer. So this actually, CVP says break-even point is equal to fixed cost by contribution per unit. General break-even point in units. So if my fixed costs are increasing by 12%, it will increase the break even by more than 12%. How? If this is increasing by 12%, your break even point will also increase by 12% only, proportionate increase. So therefore this statement is false. The margin of safety depends on sales budget and break even sales. True, because margin of safety is equal to budgeted sales less break-even sales. So it is true. Next, changes in the contribution to sales ratio will be proportional to the change in selling price. Let's check it. So now here, let's say I say that my selling price was 10. Now it increased by 50%. So now it has become 15. Contribution per unit was, let's say, 5. It is not changed. Okay, so it is 5 only. Now let's see what was the CS ratio here. So at this time my CS ratio was 5 upon 10 multiplied by 100, 50%. And here my CS ratio is 5 upon 15 multiplied by 100, 38.33%. The question said the changes in CS ratio will be proportional to the changes in selling price. That means if my selling price is increased by 50%, my CS ratio will also increase by or decrease by 50% only, which is not the case here. Right? It is definitely not the case here. So this statement is also false. Always use data to support your answer and you never be wrong. Never be wrong. Now proceeding further, let's do the next one. Now you find it, no ma'am, it's easy to handle. Correct. But then when in the exam, you should also have this point. Okay. Ilavara company produces the single product that passes through 4 production stages. The demand of the product is 220 units per month. Demand is 220 units. The company uses throughput accounting and has identified the following monthly machine usage and capacity in each of the 4 stages. Machine usage is minutes per unit, and this is total capacity in hours is given to you for every stage. Assuming that it is not possible to change the production cost or selling price, which of the following actions would improve the throughput accounting ratio? If we cannot change selling price, if we cannot change cost, then how can I better off my throughput, TPAR, by elevating the bottleneck? This is the by default criteria, right? That you elevate the bottleneck. So with throughput, always this sentence, don't forget, it's a basic sentence that we think. So by elevating the bottleneck, now you have to identify what is bottleneck. Common problem with the students, they will say, ma'am, 64 is this, the capacity is the least, so stage 3 is the bottleneck. Boss, you have not seen with respect to units, is my capacity fulfilling or not? So you have to check that, only then you will do the bottleneck. So this is a wrong calculation, common observation by examiner. This was the common mistake done by students. What you have to do is, the production is needed for 220 units a month. Let's check that whether we have that capacity to manufacture or not. Simple. So now machine usage is, it requires 36 minutes per unit. Okay, so if I have to make 220 units, how many hours I need? Because this is in hours, into 36 by 60. So we would require 132 hours. Or actually, I think the better would be not to look at the capacity, but to look at the units. Because in general, in our classes also, we always do it in units way. That gives us a better picture. That because if I take 132, that exceeds capacity. That doesn't make sense. So I think it's better that we look reverse and we see with this capacity how many units we can make. So bottleneck is that one that is not utilizing its capacity to the fullest. Clear? So now here 120 is the hours and 1 unit takes 36 minutes, right? So 120 into 60 by 36, I will get the total units to be manufactured, so it can make units 200. Again I repeat what I did. See, each unit takes 36 minutes per unit. So if I convert it to hours, it is 36 divided by 60.6 hours. We can do that. The next one is 45 by 60.75 hours. The next one is 24 by 60.4 hours. The next one is 72 by 60, 1.2 hours. Okay, now if I have total 120 hours, how many units we can manufacture? 120 by 0.6, 200 units. If I have 96 hours, how many units I can manufacture? 96 by 0.75. 128 units. Here if I have 64 hours, how many units we can manufacture? Divided by 0.4. 160 hours. If we have 180 hours divided by 1.2, we can make 150 units. Right? So here stage 4 can produce 150 units, stage 3 160, stage 2 128 and stage 1 200. Now tell me which is the bottleneck. Absolutely correct. So the bottleneck is stage 2, my friends. Why? Because it is the least units that can be manufactured. So don't do this mistake in the exam of looking at the question directly and directly giving the answer without doing calculations. Do the calculations so that you're absolutely sure of what you are giving the answer as. So do the calculations like this and conclude it in this way. Done? Guys, we're done with section A. Now let's do the section B question for this part 1 of your examiner report analysis. Okay, let's do section B and see how do we handle this question in the exam. This is one of the questions that is marked as difficult by the examiner. That means it was difficult in the attempt by the students. So let's try to ensure that we don't do that mistake while we are solving it here. I'm explaining it so that the solution becomes comfortable for you all. In this section, we will look at in detail for the relevant costing. You know that relevant costing analysis is one of the most tested area for your exams. You want to know which are the most tested areas for section C? Follow my reels, follow my shorts for the same. First Mid Company manufactures a range of domestic furniture. Its finance director is currently reviewing the financial performance of the three types of chair which the company sells: the Conformo, Leggero, and Serenito. The results are given to you. Again, I'm not going deep dive into it. I'll see according to the question. Hurstmite Company's finance director believes that it is clear that from the recent results that the company should continue to sell Conformo, but is unsure whether should continue to sell the other two chairs or not because they have a loss here. Now, quotation from Hamper Company is that Hurstmite's finance director is considering outsourcing the manufacture of some or all of the chairs and has received the following quotations. Now, we know that when we have outsourcing decisions, what do we compare? We will compare for in-house, we will compare variable cost plus specific fixed cost. This we compare with what? This we compare with the outsourced. What is the outsourced cost? The price offered by the external supplier. Okay, price offered by external supplier. Okay, now let's match it. This is the price offered, outsourced price. Let's match it with variable cost and specific fixed cost. Okay, please look here for Conformo. The outsourced price is 2100. What is the variable cost? 1800. What is the specific fixed cost? 1000. Total becomes 2800. For Leggero, it is 900 plus 900, 1800. For Serenito, it is 700 plus 400, 1100. Now, even without knowing what is the question requirement, if I have to see which is the correct option or which option that we should be going ahead with into how, which product should be outsourced, I will go ahead with Serenito because here the variable cost plus specific fixed cost is 1100 and outsourced price is 1200. So the product that should be made in-house is Serenito. And the products that can be outsourced are Leggero because in-house cost is much higher than the outsourced price. I'm not talking about Conformer because it is a profitable segment, so that management has already decided it is going to make in-house, and otherwise also it makes more sense to make it in-house. No, it's actually opposite. The cost of making it in-house is 2800 and the outsourced is 2100. So it's cheaper to outsource it also. But out of these two, it's cheaper to outsource Serenito. Okay, let's look at the remaining part of the question. Hurstmite Company has received a bulk order from Conformo. Okay, for the Conformo, it has received a bulk order from a large group of residential homes. To be able to meet the order, the company will require additional machine capacity. It could use the machine which it has purchased 80,000 2 years ago, which now has a resale value of 90,000. It gives me an idea that it is about that relevant costing, right, of machinery. So now here, what is the relevant cost for machinery, guys? We have already covered is the opportunity cost, right? So now here, or the net income that it would generate. This is the cost that has already been incurred in the past and we can use this machine. So it is a sunk cost not to be considered. Resale value not to be considered. Current replacement cost not to be considered because we are not selling it, we are not buying it. So these costs are ignored cost not to be considered. But if this machine were used for the manufacture of other products, then it could generate a net income of 1,10,000. So obviously, this is my opportunity cost. This will be my relevant costing. Clear? Even without looking at questions, I think half of the questions we have already solved. Okay, now Belgraph order, this is another order. Belgraph wishes to place a special order for Serenito chairs, which it plans to use as a part of its refurbishment for one of its largest offices. Hermsmith Company's finance director is considering charging a minimum price. Boss, stop here. Transfer pricing. What is minimum price? Variable cost plus opportunity cost. For this, in order to gain business from Belgraph, he believes that the satisfactory fulfilling the order will result in further and more profitable orders in the future. So we'll have variable cost plus opportunity cost. Let's see if the question gives you more details to calculate it, because what we have is a variable cost but not the opportunity cost. Now let's look at the questions based only on the recent results provided. Okay, which, if any, of the chairs should Hertzsmith company cease to produce? Leisure or Serenito? Let's look at the calculations that we did. That means it should cease to produce Leisure Low, because the outsourced price is better than the in-house price. So your answer would be A, Leisure Low. Clear? Proved? What you understood here, even while you're reading the question, you should try to solve it like this. You should try to draw notes there, because once you do that, you are very clear in your thoughts, and then it becomes much easier for you to solve the question like we saw here. Right? We did the question now. We are doing these parts very quickly because we have already covered these parts in while we were reading the question. Trick for PM paper. Read the question and do your half of these calculations there only. It saves your time, gives you confidence, and gives you more accuracy. Okay, move forward. Next question. Which of the following, if any, would be valid reasons for Hertzsmith Company to continue to manufacture a chair which was budgeted to make a loss? Although it was budgeted to make a loss like Serenito and the other chair, but still Leisure Row, but still, why do you think can be one of the reasons that the business can still continue to manufacture them? Number one, the chair is a complementary product to other products. It can you have seen many times when you go to supermarkets, there are some of the products that are lying over there and that are generally loss making for the business, but because of those products they have been offered at such a great discount, people come and visit the store, and generally with those they buy other products also where they earn profits. Complementary product pricing. So this is also one of the reasons that yes, businesses will keep some products at loss to attract the customers towards other products that they will grab at profit. Absolutely correct statement. Selling the chair at a loss can be a way to gain market share, market penetration strategy. Absolutely correct. So that we grab the maximum share and we are able to achieve that target, right? So sometimes, like in this case also, it was given, right, that they want to get this special order even at a low price so that they can get a better and a big order with a good pricing in the future. So yes, it is proved. Hence the answer is C. Both A and B are correct. Let's move to the third question. Based on the quotation, which of the shares should continue to be manufactured internally? We have already done Leisure, Conformer and Serenito. They should be manufactured internally. Okay, and no, I'm sorry, not even Conformer. Because if you look here, Conformer's cost to manufacture is more and outsourced price is much less. So ideally what we should make in-house is only Serenito. So ideally it should be A, Serenito. Yes. Okay. Now see, because we did questions then, now it's such easy, like cakewalk this solving is. Right? And there is no confusion. Now here the common mistake was students opted for Conformer as well, because they went with the question where it was shown as a positive figure. The question is not about profit or loss. The question is, you can see, is about better to outsource or to make it in-house. With doing that comparison, we should be solving this question. Let's move forward and let's take the next one. What is the relevant cost of machine required? Guys, we have already done it. Okay, so look. We are doing so many power portions in the questions back to back. Hence, it's much easier to solve this. Got it? Have that in your exam approach as well. 1,10,000. Last, identify by clicking on the relevant boxes in the table below whether each statement about the minimum pricing approach suggested by the finance director for the order of a bell graph is true or false. Minimum price, variable cost plus opportunity cost. We remember that transfer pricing. The cost which the minimum price should cover are incremental cost and opportunity cost only. True. We just did it. It can lead to the product's perceived value in the market being eroded. What does this mean? So technical. Let's have an example. So now I love some brands products and I buy it, let's say, from Mintra. Now, one time I saw the product cost as 5,000. After 1 week, when I opened it, it showed me a price of 500. Okay. Now, my instance will not be first to buy the product. I may have a question. Okay, it must be a degraded product. It must be a product with some faults, with some defects. Otherwise, why would they be selling it so cheap? So now, when here you sell products at your minimum price only, your quality gets affected. That becomes a thought process with the customers. So overall perceived value of the company's product gets reduced. It gets eroded. People link it with the cheap price with cheap quality, right? So this, it is a true statement. Next, the price can be easily raised on subsequent orders without affecting customer retention. Who said that? If this was so easy, why would we have competitions at the place? False. The price cannot be raised like that if you want to retain your customers. Okay, so this is false statement. Just see the time that we took for section B question. So quick we did it because we did half of the part in the question. So guys, adopt this strategy, adopt this approach to handle your section A and B questions. I'm sure I could bring out some clarity to you, but if you're still missing on any clarities, follow my Telegram channel, follow my Insta page for more reels, for more shorts on the same and more data that has been shared. But yes, and in case if you want me to share this with you, drop it in your comments or follow my Telegram channel, which is there in the comment section, the details of which, and then you can find this all solved, this edited and solved examiner's report in my channel. And now let's meet again tomorrow for your section C questions, understanding with the examiner's analysis, with the mindset that examiners have, so that you're not losing a single mark in your exam and achieving your pass scores, achieving a high score becomes your achievement. Okay, all the best guys. See you in the next lecture.